Fugaku already told you then.
Itachi listened expressionlessly as Danzo spoke, taking sidelong glances at the boy. They were in the living room of the man, the leader of an organization separate from the Hokage's Anbu, the Foundation. The organization Danzo ruled over was, at least in name, affiliated with the Anbu, but it had a different command structure. The Foundation was an elite squad that recruited the finest in the village when they were still children, and faithfully carried out its work in the shadows to maintain the peace from the darkness in the village. Itachi himself had only learned all this after Danzo summoned him there. The majority of people in the village weren't even aware of the existence of the Foundation. Danzo had been Hiruzen's right-hand man since they were young, and most people thought of him as something like an administrative official who managed the surface Anbu. Danzo's rooms were in the depths of the building at the foot of the mountain with the Hokage monument, the faces of previous Hokage carved into it, located due north of the village. On the surface, the building was for the storage of documents and materials related to administration. Most people normally never went anywhere near it. The back gates, where the members of the Anbu slipped out of the village on missions, were nearby. It was a shadowed place, no light hitting it, even at midday. And this particular room was in the center of this dark place, so dark that although it was past noon, large candles burned in the four corners. In the flickering flames, Danzo appeared bewitchingly otherworldly, a statue of the Buddha in the middle of the night. A more cowardly person would no doubt cry and cower at just standing here like this.
So, I assume you have also agreed to join the Anbu.
Yes, Itachi replied briefly. The corners of Danzo's mouth turned up in the slightest bit. His eye, so narrow it was nothing more than a line in his face, was focused intently on Itachi. His gaze seemed to catch every breath, every tremor of every hair. It was so sharp, it filled Itachi with horror. The boy almost felt like he was on the battlefield with an enemy.
There's resistance from above at having an Uchiha in the Anbu.
Even here, that black darkness twisted up around Itachi. The enmity of his father and the others at the clan meeting. The prejudice and discrimination of the village ninja toward the Uchihas. As long as he stayed in Konoha, he would be shrouded in darkness. Which is exactly why it had to be the Anbu. Not because of his father's order. This is what Itachi himself wanted. The Anbu was an elite squad that only accepted select ninja from the village. If he distinguished himself here, the idea of the building an unshakable position for himself as a pillar of the village moved out of the realm of dreams and into reality. To change this village, he would have to become important. If he became Hokage, he would be able to change everything. The first Hokage of the Uchiha clan. Bit by bit, he was starting to see clear signposts on the path he must walk in order to remove war from this world. First, he would join the Anbu. He would distinguish himself there and establish himself as a central figure in the village. After that, Hokage. He would become Hokage and get rid of the village's prejudice towards the Uchihas. And Itachi's dreams did not stop there. Once he was Hokage, he would be able to meet regularly with people of influence from other places. If he worked together with ninja from other villages, he should be able to eliminate ninja rivalry. Ninja would disappear from the world. Once there were no more ninja, the daimyos would lose their means of making war. What lay beyond that was a world without war or fighting. For Itachi's dreams, the Anbu and becoming Hokage were nothing more than checkpoints. First, step 1. Join the Anbu. He had no time for the opposition of the village officials or the members of the Anbu. He intended to overcome all resistance. An achievement is required to show us whether or not you are suitable for the Anbu. Do you mean a mission? Precisely. Danzo didn't move a muscle, frozen like a strange doll. Itachi had also not moved. He felt like it was so much. As he twitched, Danzo would see right through to his true intentions. A silent battle was unfolding between them. I have been put in charge of giving you that mission. Danzo's being in charge meant that it would be a dark mission, where the light of the sun did not reach. Itachi had long since prepared for just such an eventuality and simply stared resolutely at Danzo. He cut to the heart of the matter. There is a man in the Anbu, age 34. From your perspective, he is already an old ninja, I suppose. Danzo said in a monotone, perhaps sarcastic or joking. Itachi didn't bother to react. After a period of flowing silence, Danzo started speaking once more. Although not as great as your own, many have seen great talent in him. From the time he was a child, this man came up the ranks through genin and chunin without incident, and joined the Anbu at the same time as he was promoted to jonin. But he cut himself off, and the flames in the corners of the room flickered together. Recently, we learned that he has been colluding with Kirigakyo, a traitor. The general framework of the mission coalesced in Itachi's mind. Only a very few people in the village know of the man's collusion. So the one to take care of him is me? I'm not finished. The cold voice shot through Itachi. Those who belong to the Anbu do their utmost to keep the people of the village from learning of their affiliation.
On the surface, this man lives an average life as a jonin. He has a wife and 2 children, ages 3 and 1. What is Danzo trying to plant inside me? Itachi asked in his heart. Was he trying to test the boy somehow by telling him that he had to kill someone with a family? If this speech was motivated by a suspicion that Itachi would be carried away by emotion and hesitate to fulfill his mission, Danzo was seriously mistaken. Other than the fact that he was linked to Korea Gakko, this man is capable, a great ninja, trusted by the Hokage himself. Danzo spat out the words great ninja too theatrically. They had no truth to them. Itachi knew that Danzo was being sarcastic. He had had several times more experience than the average 11-year-old child and understood these subtleties of emotion. But if we permit a traitor, the village will never be strong. Danzo continued. I understand, Itachi said, with a hint of irritation at Danzo's circuitous way of speaking. And then, as soon as the words were out, he regretted his own imprudence. Danzo had probably noticed that Itachi was annoyed, and also that he regretted it. Despite knowing that the man had seen through him like this, Itachi didn't let it show on his face. He felt, to an unpleasant degree, the unfathomable darkness of this man who walked in the shadows of Konoha. For someone as insightful as you, this tale is quite roundabout. Forgive me, not at all. But it is all for the singular purpose of having you know this man. Itachi swallowed the question of why he had to know the man. Kill this man, Danzo instructed. Understood, Itachi replied immediately. Family or no, gifted ninja or not, a traitor was a traitor. This was his mission, whether he wanted it or not. Danzo stood up. It is likely obvious at this point, but I am convinced that the place you belong is the Anbu. You are permitted one comrade on this mission. I leave the selection of that person to you. Take whoever you trust the most. He went around the desk in front of him and leisurely approached Itachi. Peace is actually a troublesome beast, he remarked, looking down at the boy's adult face and holding Itachi's gaze. It is hard to produce, but maintaining it is next to impossible. Itachi felt like Danzo was a tiny bit pleased with himself. People eat food. While one person is finishing that day's supper, another person is suffering somewhere with nothing to eat. When a person gets something, someone somewhere loses something. Bit by bit, these trivial inequalities warp the days of the rest. The faces of the Uchiha clan gathered at the Nakano shrine popped into the back of Itachi's mind. He clenched his teeth behind closed lips, unwilling to have the slightest change in his heart be noticed. There are always people suffering in the shadows of this fiction called peace. People burdened with darkness. Don't you think we should actually hold in contempt those who forget this fact and simply gorge themselves on peace? A smell that made him want to vomit penetrated his nostrils. When he realized that it was Danzo's breath, Itachi silently endured it. Unless there's someone totally free of emotion to cut away the fraying bits on the edges of peace, this world will not see even a moment of tranquility. In other words, in this village, the someone shouldering this responsibility were the Anbu and the foundation. Previously, I said you were the bearer of bad luck. Itachi remembered the day of his graduation from the academy. Your life will ever be shadowed by chaos. That's why you need to become strong enough to cut out the root of that chaos yourself. And you're saying the place where I can obtain that strength is the Anbu? The face covered in bandages on the right side nodded firmly. They say a wise man only needs a word, but you only need half a word. No, the first letter, but that cleverness will make you suffer. I'll suffer? Stop trying to hide yourself in front of me, Danzo said, placing a hand on Itachi's shoulder. The desire for true peace, wanting a world without war, is making you suffer. How did I know everything about you? Danzo opened his eye wide, revealing a darkness so deep it threatened to suck Itachi in. The one who can bring about true peace is the one who has the deepest darkness inside him. I believe you can become that person. His wicked lips stretched out in a smile. Come to me, Uchiha Itachi. Before Itachi had the time to even think, his instincts were turning his face away, as if trying to whisk him away from the darkness and its mysterious appeal. Assassination, huh? Shisui murmured, as if to confirm the story Itachi had just told him. They were facing each other on the top of the cliff that only they knew about, but Shisui made no move to look Itachi in the eye. He kept his gaze focused on the ground to one side as he quietly thought the situation over. When he told me to take someone I trusted, I thought of you, Itachi said. Kohinata Mukai. He's a pretty decent ninja. Shisui of the body flicker noted. Having himself grown up into a leading ninja of Konoha before falling into thought again. I don't have any right to ask this of you, given that you're not connected with the Anbu in any way, but I don't know anyone in the Anbu.
and there's no one else I can trust with a mission like this."
"That's 'cause you're bad with people,"
Shisui said with a grin. Kohinata Mukai was the name of the man Danzo had ordered assassinated. His family was distantly related to the Hyuga clan, but they had branched off several generations earlier, so they didn't have the Byakugan Kekkei Genkai. "I can't believe he's secretly connected with Kirigakyo." "What is he like?" Itachi asked. "He might be Anbu, but he's also a sharp jonin. He does regular missions, and the Hokage really trusts him. He was definitely following his orders as an Anbu when you were guarding the daimyo." So that meant Mukai had been there when they were attacked by the man in the mask. Itachi knew that other than Hatake Kakashi, the Anbu had been caught in the masked man's genjutsu, and Mukai had been one of them. "Do you know anything about him being susceptible to genjutsu?" "It's not like we go around telling each other our weaknesses, you know." Naturally, Itachi regretted asking such a stupid question. "But I do know what he's good at." Shisui lifted his face and looked at Itachi. The light in his friend's eyes dispelled the shadow of unrest. From long years of opening up to each other, Itachi knew that this was proof of his friend's resolve. "Mukai's good at physical techniques." Itachi felt like this basically made sense. If you followed Mukai's bloodline back, you reached the Hyuga clan, one of the most distinguished families in Konoha Gakyo. If you trace the origins of the Hyuga, you arrived at the founder of the ninja, the sage of the 6 paths. And the Byakugan Kekkei Genkai was a visual jutsu on par with the Uchiha Sharingan. The Hyuga could see the path of chakra circulating in the body and seal chakra by severing the pathway in someone who had become an enemy. Their vision was also said to reach out in all directions with no blind spots. Once the pathway was sealed, the Hyuga clan used physical techniques. Their physical jutsu, known as the gentle fist, aligned the flow of the user's chakra with the chakra extant in all living creatures, allowing the user to deliver a series of blows based on circular defensive movements, destroying anything inside their opponent's body, such as internal organs. Gentle Fist was a secret of the Hyuga clan, but given that they were a branch family, it was no stretch to imagine that at least some knowledge of it had been passed down to the Kohinatas. "He uses the gentle fist?" Itachi asked. Shisui nodded. "So, as long as we don't get close, we have the advantage." "Mukai's pretty skilled. I can't imagine he'd let you fight him from a distance." It seemed that the hypothetical battle with Mukai was already happening inside Shisui's head. "Will you come with me?" "Of course." Shisui bumped his fist up against Itachi's chest. "You got no one else you can trust, right?" "Yeah." "You joined the Anbu.
and you'll be closer to the center of the village. And if you do that, you'll be invaluable for our clan."
Itachi thought about just what those words meant. He and Shisui were driven by the same thing, and they didn't begrudge their own lives if it meant the peace of the clan. With each of the secret monthly meetings at Nakano Shrine, the atmosphere grew progressively worse. Both boys believed that resentment toward the village was already approaching the limit. They had to avoid an explosion, no matter what. This was their shared understanding. If the clan rose up, the village would be dragged into battle. The last great war, the attack of the Nine Tails, the village had overcome both crises and was finally starting to build a real peace. If the Uchiha clan were to start something now, the village would once more be shrouded in sadness and death. The lone Anbu among the Uchiha clan. It was just as Shisui said. Itachi would become invaluable to the clan. You becoming Anbu's actually a dream for me too. A dream? The Uchihas and the village would become brethren in the true sense. And for that, I think we need a ninja in the clan who has a deep connection with the central figures of the village. Someone who can tell it like it is, talk about the clan's suffering and hopes. If you join the Anbu, you'll be able to do that. And since you want peace for the clan more than anyone, I know you'll actually do it for us. Itachi lifted his chin up and down slightly. Shisui brightened abruptly. I'll be a jonin of the village. You'll be an Anbu. Neither of us will be in the military police. We'll be able to look at the clan objectively. My father and the others are closed up in their own shell. They can't see the world outside anymore. Itachi. Shisui said his friend's name like he was spitting out the suffering in his own heart. The people in our clan are locked away in their own little world. They don't even try to take a look outside. They say it's the village's fault that our fate doesn't change. And their grudge just shows. They just blame everything on the village, the Hokage, the Senju clan. They never look at their weak spots. But he opened his eyes and looked at Itachi. You're different. Itachi held his breath. You've always opened up your own road with your own power. You graduated from the academy in a year. You made it through the Chunin exams all by yourself. And now you're poised to join the Anbu. You've never blamed your fate on your clan and given up. Was that really how it was? Itachi did not know. He felt like he had simply been racing intently down the path he should be on, and that feeling wasn't going to change. I mean, you could even be the next Hokage. Shisui grinned. I believe that you'll be the one to break through the hostilities between the village and the clan as the first Uchiha Hokage. Itachi's heart beat faster. The dream of being Hokage. He had never told anyone. It was a dream he hadn't even spoken of to his one and only friend, Jocelyne. He hadn't told anyone because he was afraid it would vanish in a cloud of smoke if he had said it out loud. The dream became words in Jocelyne's mouth and reached his own ears. Surprise and joy surged through him. I'll always be your best friend. Jocelyne. I can hardly wait to see how big you get from now on. Itachi desperately tried to hold back the hot thing that welled up in the depths of his heart. He had never once cried before someone else in his life. He believed a ninja should never expose their own emotions. No, he had cried in front of someone just once when he was 4. That time was when his father had brought him to the battlefield. Once the fighting was finished, when he saw the mountains of abandoned bodies in the heavy rain, his tears had flowed freely. He still remembered desperately trying to keep himself from shaking so his father wouldn't notice. Itachi hadn't changed since then. Fighting was something to be avoided at all costs. War must never happen again. That moment when he was 4, he had decided this in his heart as he cried in the pounding rain. To that end, the Anbu. To that end, Hokage. Let's do it, Itachi. His faithful friend grinned. Itachi nodded firmly, full of gratitude.